SARS-CoV-2 is fitter than ever. Its latest incarnation, the Delta, or B.1.617.2 variant, is the fastest spreading form of the virus yet. First identified in India, which it swept through killing hundreds of thousands this spring, Delta has swiftly become the most dominant coronavirus variant worldwide. Meanwhile, emerging data suggest that when vaccinated people become infected with the Delta variant and develop symptoms, which, although increasing in frequency, remains exceedingly rare, officials report, they might be as contagious as unvaccinated infected people. The Delta variant's emergence isn't a shock to many researchers. Spreading throughout the globe for a year and a half, SARS-CoV-2 was destined to adapt to humans and become better at infecting them. The mystery remains, however, exactly how Delta affects the human body differently than other variants. A flurry of recent research, little of which has undergone peer review, is yielding some clues on how the Delta variant might produce greater amounts of virus in people's airways, for instance, which could make it more transmissible, and how it could cause more severe disease. Scientists are also uncovering cause for hope. Although the antibodies induced by vaccines available in the U.S. are slightly less effective against the Delta variant, the shots are largely still powerful protectors against severe cases of COVID-19. And according to preliminary data, breakthrough infections in vaccinated people resolve faster than in unvaccinated people. None of those are really a surprise. This variant just seems to have more of all of those. What makes Delta more transmissible? Measuring SARS-CoV-2's transmissibility in the real world is notoriously difficult as human behavior is continuously changing, notes virologist Paul Bieniasz of Rockefeller University, but the fact that the UK government's Scientific Pandemic Influenza Group on Modelling, Operational Subgroup, SPI-M-O, estimates that Delta is between 40 and 60% more transmissible than the Alpha variant and nearly twice as transmissible as the original virus first identified in China. In explaining this heightened transmissibility, scientists point to not yet peer-reviewed data suggesting that infection with the Delta variant results in greater levels of virus accumulating more rapidly in human airways. In China, researchers tracked 62 people exposed to the virus who developed infections with the variant. They took daily measurements of the concentrations of viral RNA in swabs from the backs of the participants' throats. Compared to 63 people infected with other variants, people with Delta infections tested positive sooner, 4 days after viral exposure compared to 6. And when patients infected with Delta first tested positive, they carried around 1,000 times more viral RNA. Perhaps the variant replicates faster inside cells or binds more tightly to human cells' ACE2 receptor, which the virus's spike protein uses to enter cells, Kennedy speculates. But much attention has surrounded a particular mutation on the Delta variant called P681R, which suggests another potential mechanism. This cleavage, some experiments suggest, primes spike proteins in a way that allows them to fuse more readily with a host cell's membrane, according to a detailed description in Nature. The Delta variant's P681R mutation seems to allow that cleavage to occur more efficiently than in the original SARS-CoV-2 strain. This could help the variant infect more cells in a given amount of time, and therefore, make more copies of itself overall. Some scientists are skeptical that the P681R mutation is to blame for the heightened viral load in people infected with Delta. In any case, Bieniasz says he'd be surprised if the Delta variant's heightened transmissibility were caused by P681R alone. The variant carries a handful of other mutations on the spike protein, and more scattered around the genome. But, there isn't really any information at this point that would tell you mechanistically what their contribution is to the increased fitness of Delta, he says. The biology behind breakthrough infections. The fact that the Delta variant has also triggered increasing numbers of infections in vaccinated people has generated a bevy of headlines, some of which have been criticized for their alarmist nature. In July, officials identified 469 people in Barnstable County who tested positive, Mostly for the Delta variant, participants had likely asked to be tested, and the majority had developed COVID-19 symptoms. 3/4 were fully vaccinated, in part reflecting a relatively high vaccination rate in the area. Scientists stress that the vaccines still work as intended. They were designed to prevent severe disease, not infections. The Massachusetts study, for instance, reported only 5 hospitalizations, 4 in fully vaccinated people, and no deaths. Nationwide, robust figures on the frequency of breakthrough cases are elusive, particularly of asymptomatic or mild cases. The CDC only monitors instances that have progressed to hospitalization or death. A recent review of data from 25 states also estimated the rate of breakthrough cases to be well below 1%. According to that same review, the rates of hospitalizations and deaths with COVID-19 among the fully vaccinated range from, effectively 0 to 0.06% and 0.01, respectively. Surprisingly, the Barnstable County study detected similar amounts of viral RNA in the specimens of vaccinated and unvaccinated participants. While that's not necessarily reflective of the people's capacity to infect others, it is indisputable that in this outbreak, there seems to be transmission between previously vaccinated people, says Hannah Axelrod, an infectious disease physician at George Washington University. Please support my channel to grow by pressing subscribe button and the bell icon. We will notify you technological news. Thank you.